More censorship is happening, but you will not be censored at our live stand-up comedy shows in Dallas and Houston, Orlando, Tampa, coming up real soon. Go to jimmydorecomedy.com for a link for tickets. Here's what YouTube said. Today, we began blocking RT and Sputnik's YouTube channels across Europe. Since Russia began its invasion in Ukraine, we've been focused on removing violative content and connecting people to trusted news and information. Trusted. Is there anywhere that you know that's a trusted news and information outlet? Because I don't. An overview of these steps. Here's an overview of the steps that they've taken. Wow. Boy, Russia really uses the name Sputnik a lot, don't they?
Yeah.
It's a channel. It's a vaccine. It's like their version of Aloha, I guess, huh? We paused monetization and significantly limited recommendations for Russia state-funded media channels. Both actions are global and indefinite. Boy, I'm so happy that these rogue countries can be held accountable by unaccountable corporations the size of rogue countries. Our trust and safety team has worked to quickly remove violative content. There's that word again. We've removed hundreds of channels and thousands of videos for violating our community guidelines, including our policies around deceptive practices and misinformation. Our trust and safety team. Kurt, did you hear that?
Yeah.
It's so good to know we can trust the team to keep us safe. When people search for topics on Russia and Ukraine, our systems prominently surface authoritative news content, like the authoritative news that said Iraq had WMDs, that kind of, and the authoritative news that said Hunter Biden's laptop was Russian propaganda, that authoritative news that said that Donald Trump was working with the Russians for 5 straight years. But nobody could prove it. So they're going to be pushing you towards the corporate news that lies. Why? Because they control everything and they fund everything. That's why. God damn. Good news, though, when you search for topics on the war, only authoritative sources will come up. Oh, wait a minute. I misread. Authoritative. I thought it said authoritarian sources, but it's going to really authoritative. That's what it is. Authoritarian. Boy, it's just so darn close to authoritarian. You could see how somebody could screw those up. It's like how biodefense research and bioweapons research, they're really close to each other, right?
It's nuanced, yes.
It's very nuanced. We also display info panels underneath videos from news publishers with government funding. Videos from RT and other Russian state media channels began showing this label as early as 2018, giving context that the channel is funded in whole or in part by the Russian government. Oh, looks like Russia's going to have to form a super PAC. Actually, why not put everybody's funding under everything they post at all times? Right? So like when CBS News gets to or CNN reports on Ukraine, why not put, hey, they get most of their funding from Raytheon and Boeing and fossil fuel companies. What? You don't put that underneath there though. Nope, they don't. Okay. Our teams continue to closely monitor the situation, and we will continue to share updates as they become available. Okay. How closely are they going to monitor them? Because I'd like to be monitored 24/7 so I feel more safe. That's what I would like.
Me too, yeah.
Yeah. Here's some more. This is from today, I think. Yeah, March 11th. Our community guidelines prohibit content denying, minimizing, or trivializing well-documented violent events. So that means you can't make so that means if they want to censor you, they can. That's what that means, Kurt. It means because if I made a joke about anything, that could be like trivializing it.
I hope that fresh press that we just put up is not going to be trivial.
I bet it is.
We might have trivialized some things.
You can't trivialize it. What does that mean? Well, they are now removing content about Russia's invasion in Ukraine that violates that policy. This makes me yearn for the honesty and transparency of a Jen Psaki. In line with that, we are also now blocking access to YouTube channels associated with Russian state-funded media globally, expanding from across Europe. This change is effective immediately, and we expect our systems to take time to ramp up. Wow, yeah, a lot of stuff is really ramping up right now, I'll tell you that. Since our last update, our teams have now, they brag about how much censoring they're doing. You'd think they would be embarrassed and they try to hide it. No, they're bragging. They go, we've removed over 1,000 channels and over 15,000 videos around our policies of misinformation. Well, how do you know it's misinformation if I said always the official policy is always wrong? Oh, the official narrative, WMDs.
Wow.
Our systems are also connecting people to trusted news sources. So far, our breaking news and top news shelves, our homepage, have received more than 17 million views in Ukraine.
So?
I don't know. I don't know. In addition, we recently paused all YouTube ads in Russia. We have now extended this to all ways of monetize on our Russia. And guess who says thanks? Hats off for carrying on my work, says Senator McCarthy. I just want to bring you back to this thing. No, let me bring it back to this thing. This. Our community guidelines prohibit content denying, minimizing, or trivializing well-documented. So if this was at the beginning of the Vietnam War and I said the Gulf of Tonkin was false, they would take my channel down because of it. They would take my channel down because I said it was false. So if we said that the Snake Island report from the Ukraine government was false, they would take our channel down because it was false. Because we were denying a well-documented violent event. So you're not allowed to push back against, if the Pentagon says it, that's that. If the Pentagon says it and the New York Times prints it and CNN broadcasts it, that's that. So now you wouldn't be able to ever debunk a false flag that starts a war. We wouldn't be able to debunk the Bay of Pigs. We wouldn't be able to debunk the Gulf of Tonkin. We wouldn't be able to debunk anything. WMDs. So that's where we are. And so they're coming for us. So if you were wondering, hey, if YouTube was around during the beginning of the Iraq War or during Vietnam, how would they censor YouTubers? That's how they do it. They would just say that you are trivializing, minimizing, or denying a well-documented violent event. That's all they would say. You can't trivialize it. And so they could say you're trivializing it by saying that Russia had a legitimate reason for going in, or they could say you're trivializing it by saying we should worry about other things and not this. So, like if I said, hey, maybe we should care more about what's happening in Palestine or what's happening in Afghanistan or Somalia or Libya or Syria, which is a country we're occupying right now. We're occupying Syria. If I said that is more important than Ukraine, they could take my channel down for that now, because that would be trivializing what's happening in Ukraine. So that's how so if you wondered how they would get rid of us, this is how they're going to do it. So as soon as another war started, I told you something like this would happen, and here it is. They're not going to let us tell the truth about this. And that's so now we're going to get into World War III with only state-run media. And I grew up, and everybody, that's the whole thing. You think that Russia, they're the dictators. They're the ones who control the narrative. They're the one who squelch free speech and dissent. No, this is what the United States does. This is what the United States does and is doing, and they brag about it. We already took down 15,000 videos and 1,000 channels.
It's amazing how fast that snowballed from... I just think every idiot I know is like, well, if it's a corporation and doing it, it's not censorship. It's only if the government does it.
You're supposed to be against censor. First of all, YouTube and social media are supposed to be public utilities. Second of all, you're supposed to be against censorship no matter where it comes from. No matter where it comes from the idea of anti-censorship and free speech comes out of the Enlightenment. And the Enlightenment, the idea, the spirit was you were opposed censorship no matter where it comes from, whether it comes from the church, no matter whether it comes from the state, or if it comes from a corporation. And YouTube and Facebook should not be private corporations anymore. They should be public utilities, just like the phone company is. You can't cut off someone's phone service if you don't like what they're saying on the phone. AT&T can't cancel your phone service. They can't cancel the phone service to the Ku Klux Klan. They can't cancel the phone service to Republicans. They can't cancel phone service to anybody they don't like because it's considered a public utility, even though it's a private company. So that's what it should be. Same thing for YouTube and Facebook and Twitter. That should be public utilities. And if you're going to take away someone's free speech, you got to present a case in the court of law that shows they're breaking free speech rules. But again, there's a lot of people, most of them consider themselves progressives on YouTube, are for this kind of censorship. They're 100% behind it. And those are people who prop up fascism and don't know it. Anything else you'd like to say on this, Kurt?
Wow. Well, it's a good thing our government has cleaned up its act since the Gulf of Tonkin's days.
That's
I would be really worried.
Me too. I don't have to worry about going against it. Hey, we got more dates for our 2022 stand-up tour. We're going everywhere. We're going to Dallas, Houston, Florida. We're going to Omaha, Des Moines, Pittsburgh, Columbus, Ohio, and Los Angeles. Go to jimmydorecomedy.com for a link for all the tickets for all our shows.